You're watching House Parks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc.
It's an honor. This is an honor, and I want to thank the people behind me because they have done an incredible job under very adverse conditions, I have to say. And they're very special people. Very special. Congratulations to Paul. He gave a speech last week, which was incredible. I mean, they endorsed me, so I have to think it was incredible. So thank you all very much.
It's a Border Patrol guy.
Great group of people. They love our country. Before we begin, I want to address the unconstitutional decision issued today by a radical judge appointed by Biden, and it just came down in Virginia, illegally allowing non-citizens to vote in our elections.
No, you cannot. It is illegal to vote in our elections if you're not a citizen. You're not in Virginia or any other state. Don't listen to this asshole and try to vote. If you don't have the right to vote, you will go to jail. He's talking out of his ass. What he means is the attempt by Youngkin and the legislature in Virginia to purge the voter rolls again close to election, within 90 days of the election, when if you are a registered voter and you are an American citizen and you are purged during that time, you cannot, you are past the point of being able to re-register. So you will be denied. So what they do is they take names that are sound-alikes, a lot of them not surprisingly Latino, Hispanic, or black sounding names, and go, well, there's two different versions of this guy and it's in a blue district. So we'll just assume that's the same guy, even though one's a junior and one's a senior, even though they have a different middle initial. We'll just pull them off the voter rolls. And then that person who's a legitimate voter cannot vote because they can't re-register, or they don't find out they're no longer registered until they show up. They go, you're not registered to vote, and they have to do a provisional ballot, and then they hope it's not counted, or it does, or people will reject it, not bother, that kind of stuff, which is not going to fucking happen. But it's a tactic that used to work quite frequently, and even if you can shave off a couple of hundred votes here and there, every tactic, the purpose is to shave off about 1,000 votes statewide. So if you do 10 or 15 different things, you're shaving off, somewhere between 9 and 15,000 votes. And if that's the margin and you can target it to Democratic areas, you can hand the state to Trump. That's what they're doing. It's what they're doing in Georgia. It's what they're doing in fucking North Carolina. It's certainly what they're doing in Florida and Texas. Yeah. So there you go.
In fact, a poll came out, 87% of the people disagree, so that's pretty good amount, isn't it, Ted, huh?
Also, nobody agrees at all that non-citizens should vote. They're not voting. That's not what it is. It's about purging people close to the election and knowing that you'll have name overlap and people who have the right to vote will be kicked off. There are no illegals registered to vote. If they were, they'd have been purged earlier in the year or rejected outright when their registration came through.
The outrageous decision goes against the very bedrock of our democracy, and thankfully Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who's doing a terrific job, is working hard to fix this problem.
Okay, by the way, this is largely for show. I'd like to remind you, this is not going to affect Democratic turnout. It's not even going to work. It's not going to eliminate people's right to vote. What it does is there's a lot of maggots who don't trust voting and go, what's the fucking point? They're just going to steal it anyways, and have fallen back into this sort of evangelical, libertarian, sovereign citizen mindset. So they're not going to vote. And that's a statistically significant number of people. So what they're trying to do is they do these like, we're beating them everywhere. We're filing these lawsuits. We're going to make sure they're hand counted, blah, 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 so that those people will go and vote because they've already just gone, well, fuck it. If they cheated and beat him while he was in office, what chance does he have if he's out of office? Especially if he's given the president of the United States total freedom to do whatever he wants while he's president, because everything's an official act, right?
They found thousands of illegal votes, and the judge said you didn't do it in a timely fashion. They did it a long time ago. As legal scholar Andy...
No, they didn't, or it would have happened.
McCarthy just said, and very correctly, how can non-citizens be allowed on the voter rolls if their voting is a federal crime?
Well, I'll tell you. Purging citizens within willy-nilly, within 90 days of an election, within fucking 3 weeks of an election, is illegal because they don't have a chance to remedy that and they will be kicked off. You have a job to do purging those voters or looking at the voters when they come in. Your registration. Is Youngkin, I think is the idea, is Youngkin running Virginia in such a way that the voter registration is just rubber stamped, that they don't check when they get a new registration, that when somebody brings in a list of like registered voter forms, they just automatically throw them on the pile in Virginia? Is that how it works?
Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley, two great guys, by the way, also know.
Two assholes who are always carrying one ball each, even though it can't be a heavy load.
That it is a crime to be a non-citizen voter.
Right. Yes, it is. It still is, and it still will be. It still is.
Removing illegal voters off the voting roll should be a big priority for this country, and yet instead we're scorned by a judge.
No, you're not. Your attempt to knock legitimate voters off the rolls last minute so they can't re-register after that deadline is the problem. Do your fucking job or shut the fuck up. And by the way, there's a real easy remedy to this. If you have a list of people who are allegedly illegals and you were trying to get those names purged and you have that list, if any of those fuckers show up, this is going to be great. You filed this action. If they vote, they go to jail, right? That's illegal. So here's what you do. Wait for it. You go to the polling place that these people are associated with, or you check to see if they mail in their ballot. And if they do, you arrest them, right? Because being on the rolls, if I just walk around with a fucking pad and pencil, with one of these like voter sign up things for let's just say, let's spitball this. I'm hired by Maggot International, the consortium of foreign slush funds supporting Donald Trump for president, and they hire me to register voters, and I'm walking around with voter registration forms, and I go, hey, register to vote here, and then you can fill out this thing, and I know I'm in an area where people are filling it out and it's illegal, and I send them in anyways, right? If I take those things, and all I have to do is I can do it on purpose. Even I can go to this place and sign up every person that I know is undocumented. Like, hey, any undocumented workers, like everybody in this parking lot that's trying to get work and these kind of stuff. I'm guessing some of you guys aren't registered. Cool, come here, fill these out. I get paid by the sign up, so don't worry about it. Nothing's going to blow back on you. And then you come in, and I just take a bunch of fake ones, bunch of bullshit ones, make them up even. And, just non-citizens, no social security number, none of that shit. And I throw them in. And now, even though I know that person isn't going to vote, I know that person is not going to be able to vote. And if they do, they'll go to jail. I can now say there's a bunch of non-citizens that are registered to vote in the state because I registered them. That's what the Trump campaign is also doing in a bunch of states. They are active. That's why a bunch of their door knockers are bullshit. It's why the companies they hire to register people to vote have been turning in fraudulent bullshit forms. Nice, Mr. Zombified. Yeah, who's voted already? Let me know in the chat room. Throw that in there. Let us know. It's very exciting.
This is blatantly un-American, and it's election interference, and Kamala Harris is behind it very much.
No, she's not at all.
And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And obviously, it's up to the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But
no, it isn't. It's up to the law.
They're going to be appealing it. I think he's going to.
Why? You got the list. Just arrest anybody who votes and that doesn't have the right to. Right? If they mail in a vote, it's got to have the signature on it. It's got to have their name on it. If it comes in, doesn't matter who they voted for, arrest them.
And they feel very strongly about it, so we'll see how it goes.
Strongly about it.
But, you have to get.
Look at all these voters. I love you guys. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide. By the way, I'm Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks you'll ever meet in your life.
confidence going for elections when you have decisions coming down like that where they allow people to vote?
No. Well, that might be the problem. He's worried that people are allowed to vote. Citizens, in particular, are the problem group that he's worried about.
That blatantly aren't qualified to vote. That's pretty sad.
That blatantly aren't qualified. Well, then, when they show up, there'll be a little check next to their name that says they aren't a citizen. You don't even have to purge the rolls. It'll say right there.
For our country, we have enough problems with the elections.
We don't have any material problems, except that you're running, I guess.
It's about confidence. We're here today.
By the way, that's not wrong. Remember what I said about the fact that maggots don't want to vote? That's what I'm talking about. When he's like, it's about confidence. Thank you, Billy. That's what he's talking about. A bunch of maggots don't want to vote because they think it's already, they're going to rig it and steal it and rig it. And we're going to lose again. And they're all bummed out. So they're trying to, he and Mike Pillow, even though they're totally full of shit, they think they can go, oh, all right, well, maybe there's a chance we will win this. That's what he's going with. That's why he has to pretend to be ahead in the polls by a lot, because they got to have this feeling like, well, they can't steal it now. He's too far ahead, even though they obviously, if they read anything other than fucking Twitter, will notice he's not. As a matter of fact, he's behind.
In the great state of Texas, which I like it.
Yeah, I could tell. I like it. It's great. Being here in Texas, nothing better. Woo! Than hanging out with Ted Cruz is really a good time.
I like it. Which under Kamala Harris has been turned into ground zero for the largest border invasion in the history of the world. You're lucky you have your governor and people.
No. I got to tell you, more people have crossed the border from Afghanistan into Iran and Pakistan, both of those that have crossed our border in the last 3 years. It's just a fact.
Like Ted and Dan and all of the people, Sid. Even John, who's from a different state, but he feels the same way, or you would really have problems. But you've done an amazing job under this.
Yeah, John. John, he's from a different state, but John, that guy. Yeah, John.
Circumstances, but the federal government's supposed to be doing that job, and it should be easy, and it's not because of the people.
It's not because of the people doing business with Mexico in Texas, which is 80% of its fucking economy.
But over the past 4 years, this state has become Kamala's staging ground to import her army of migrant gangs and illegal.
Army of migrant gangs that are apparently here to force roof tiles onto people.
Alien criminals into every state in America.
Yeah, mainly Home Depot parking lots where people can get drywall hung and plumbing done on the cheap under the table.
And every state's a border state. You've heard that?
I have heard that, and it's just as dumb today as it was the first time I heard it.
That's true. Paving a trail of bloodshed, suffering, and death all across our land, and it's only getting worse.
It's only getting worse. It has to get worse because apparently this is not moving the needle. I keep telling people these are all murderers when I don't even know why I have to. I think the fact that they're brown should scare most of the people that vote for me, but apparently there's some sticky voters where that's not enough. So I got to bring up the Congo and act like everybody's Hannibal Lecter with like machetes for arms.
It's incredible when you look at the numbers. 21 million people at least during this 3.5 year.
Bullshit. 3. And a bunch of people left and died. The number of undocumented immigrants in the United States is about 10.3 million. Nonsense. Let me do the math for you, maggots. Okay? I know we got some maggots here. Welcome. Let me explain something to you, maggots. If you meet the same person twice, you have not met 2 people. If you meet the same person 5 times, you have not met 5 people. Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way. Someone you've met twice does not suddenly have a twin that's never in the same room as them. Okay.
Period. And many of them, as you know, are murderers. drug dealers, people from jails. They're letting their people out of jails and bringing them right into our we're like a dumping ground.
Also, by the way, again, I've yet to hear a good answer as to how does this happen? So they let all these criminals out of jail, and do they immediately like load them onto prison buses, drive them to the border where they are transferred to another prison bus at the edge of another country, and then those people ride there, take the bus all the way up to the U.S. border after 3 countries do this, and then they get out, and then what, they're given a change of clothes by the cartels while they promise not to rape, murder, sodomize, or beat anyone to death, and until they get inside the United States. Is that how it works?
What Kamala Harris has done on our border is cruel, it's vile, and it's absolutely heartless. Her policy of importing migrant gangs is a crime against our country. It's actually a crime against humanity. And
again, they're not importing criminal gangs. They're not. As a matter of fact, if you want to complain about Venezuelan gangs, which I'm sure he will bring up, I remind you that the last thing Donald Trump did before leaving office was to delay the deportation of Venezuelans for 1.5 years, at which time they went to the back of the line of everybody else who was being seen to be deported at some point. So even then, adding 3-4 years to their time in the country. Just saying. Specifically Venezuelans.
her abolition.
And by the way, I'm sure there's some maggots in the chat room who don't know this. Go look it up. I would show it to you, but you'll think I found it on my own. The last thing Trump did was give a deportation enforcement order to delay it for a DED, a deportation enforcement delay for 16 months, essentially. And then on top of that, again, they go to the back of the line. And because it was done under DED instead of temporary protected status, the TPS, they also don't get vetted. They just hang out.
Of our border.
They're basically given automatic asylum.
Should disqualify her for even running. I mean, I don't know how you can run.
Oh, this is the other thing, too. He does this a bunch. She should be disqualified from running. You shouldn't even be allowed to run in this situation. First of all, people say that about him about January 6th, and it's true. But on the other hand, he says this because he just wishes she would quit and give him Biden back, who he thinks he can beat. It's fucking dumb.
Run for the president of the United States and allow people to pour into our country. And we're talking about seriously criminal people, many of these people, and they come from all over the world. It's not just South America. They're coming in.
Yeah, if you're not scared of brown people, how about some really black people? That should make you worry.
From Africa, they're coming in from the Middle East. The Congo, that's a hot place right now. A lot of.
Oh, it's a hot place. Hey, why is that a hot place? Does anybody know? Anybody know why? Hold on, chat room. Anybody know why the Congo is a hot place? You know why he's got Congo on the brain? Anybody? Anybody have any idea why that would be? What do you think? Why the Congo? Because it rhymes with. I think it's because it rhymes with condo. $7 million Trump building condo tied to scandal-scarred foreign leader. Gee, New York Times, what country would that be? Unit 32G, a 2-bedroom, 1,767 square foot apartment with sweeping views of the park, is owned by an entity called ICRI, which bought the condo in 2014 for $7 million in cash. Documents unearthed by the nonprofit group Global Witness showed that the purchase was funded by the daughter of the Republic of Congo's president, a longtime target of anti-corruption investigators. The funds for the all-cash purchase appear to have been siphoned from the country's government, according to the report by Global Witness. The purchase took place more than 2 years before Donald Trump became president. Owners of the units of Building 1 Central Park West pay tens of thousands of dollars a year in condo fees to Mr. Trump's company, the Trump Organization. They paid whatever the fees are paid to Trump are not fees paid to Trump for profit, which is just silly. Of course they are. They're jacked up ridiculous. This would be the Denis Sassou Nguesso and his wife Antoinette, no shit, in Paris. This is the Congolese leader. His daughter bought the apartment for $7 million in cash at Trump Tower. I guess the Congo isn't sending their best. They're sending crime. They're sending criminals, and they're stealing money from their
A lot of people coming in from prisons in the Congo. They're coming into our country.
And they just say, I'm from prison. What town are you from? Prisonville.
It's not even believable, actually.
You're right. It's not believable. This is the problem. Okay. It's unbelievable. Fuck, man. Learn to talk. Saying this is unbelievable means you can't believe it. Saying it's not believable sounds like you don't even believe your own bullshit. It sounds like somebody gave you these talking points and you're like, this can't be right. This is going to turn out to be fake. And it is. It's not believable. That's why I can't say unbelievable, because he's fucking dumb. It's...
When you think, you're standing up here, you're saying this stuff, John Barrasso, but you're saying this and you say to yourself, is it even believable?
No, it's not.
It's sort of like, actually in a smaller way, but still very important, men playing in women's sports. Who would want that? But, 10 years ago.
Oh, by the way, anytime he starts losing his crowd, and this is happening early because it's a small crowd and they're very quiet. So anytime he starts losing his crowd, his case of emergency break glass move is anti-trans bigotry. He also does some anti-gay stuff when he calls Anderson Cooper Allison Cooper later on because gay, right? He just, anytime his audience is flagging, all you got to do is bash some gays and you got them back.
10 years ago, you would never say that. And then you have the transgender operations all over the place. And
all over the place. I'm afraid to open a door if I don't know what's behind it. Because, especially, penis first.
You're saying this and you have parental guidance. And we want our child to be parentally guided.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we want. We have parental guidance and we want our children to be parentally guided. What? Oh, real quick. Again.
Place and you're saying this and you have parental guidance and we want our child to be parentally guided and you have to make apologies for the fact that they're not, but they're going to be, and we're going to bring.
You have to make apologies for the fact that they're not. What? I'm sorry, that the parents are not guiding their children, so we owe them an apology for not parenting their kids. What?
That back. We want our parents.
By the way, and people start applauding at the end of the statement because they kind of know what he means. They mean like parental control over their education, or they want without. I think, yeah, he's probably saying like parental approval or, parents being made aware of what's going on. If they've got a kid at school who's trans and they're saying the teachers are not obligated to tell the parents, because what if they tell the wrong parent and the parent kills the kid, right? That's basically why. That's the biggest reason. It isn't because of some, blanket woke idea. It's that the parents should know their own fucking kids. If you don't know your kids getting dressed up at school, this is like when Catholic schoolgirls would change out of their uniforms once they got to school, or they fucking or high school girls who have a dress code at home change when they get to school so they can wear, whatever, they were dressing like Madonna with their bra outside their shirt at school, shit like that when I was in high school, right? Yeah. So this is just, I don't even know. First of all, he doesn't like parenting. He didn't give a shit about parenting when he, with his kids. It's women's work anyways.
But you're saying this and you say to yourself, is it even believable? It's sort of like, actually in a smaller way, but still very important, men playing in women's sports. Who would want that? But, 10 years ago, you would never say that.
Also, by the way, trans women are not men. They may be biologically male at birth, and they may be transitioning in their, in their presentation to the world. I mean, there's a lot of ways to talk about it. None of them are offensive because, by the way, if anybody tells you that someone not honoring your pronouns or calling you a name or something diminishes you as a human being or takes away your humanity, that person is not your friend. You can take it. You're strong. You're more than that. And this asshole calling you a name or someone screwing up their description in some ways is not going to destroy who you are. You're worthwhile. We're lucky to have you here. Please be the best version of yourself. And so say I. Just to clarify that. Anybody who's like, if they don't say your pronouns, they're basically saying you're not human. And to wit, the answer the other person on your other side, who is your true friend, would be, and who gives a fuck? Because you obviously are. I love you. Don't worry about that. And don't listen to this dickhead.
And then you have the transgender operations all over the place. And you're saying this, and you have parental guidance, and we want our child to be parentally guided. And you have to make apologies for the fact that they're not, but they're going to be, and we're going to bring that back. We want our parents. Look at
this dude. He's like, okay, yeah. End of statement, clap. I don't even know what the fuck.
But, if you go back 10 years or 15 years ago, if you ever made a speech like that, they'd say, this guy's crazy. What is he talking?
Oh, we still are. Yeah, you're a fucking lunatic. Yeah. You're talking about 0.05% of the populace like our social problems are their fucking fault. Eat shit, you lunatic.
Talking about those things would never happen, and they didn't happen until a certain time ago with the radical left. No person who was...
A certain time ago? When was that? What the fuck? During, I don't know, when the World According to GARP came out?
Responsible for so much bloodshed on our own soil can ever be allowed to become president of the United States. And I think she's coming here today. She doesn't want to go to a swing state because she's losing so badly in those.
She doesn't want to go to a swing state? Sorry. Hey, asshole, you're the one that goes to safe states. What are you talking about? You're both going to swing states all over the place. You're the one that doesn't go to any blue states. She's coming to your district, motherfucker. She's going to put Colin Allred over the top. You're in a fucking factory like run by some bigot that you know personally who hires people under the table to work fucking nights with 150 fucking people in it. And she's in a goddamn stadium with Beyonce, who's from Houston.
So she decided to come to Texas.
Right. What again? Asshole, why would you think that's a dunk? It sounds like she thinks she's got those swing states in the bag and she's making you defend territory. Have you ever played anything more than checkers?
And I'm sure she'll be treated very nicely. Today, she picked the wrong place. I think she picked the wrong place. Why do I know about politics? I haven't done it that long, actually.
You've done it far too long. Far too long. Because again, what I know about politics, never mind the fact that he's, he ran for office and he became president, yada, yada. But this asshole took out a full-page ad in the New York Times against the Central Park Five. He's been arguing this anti-immigrant bigot bullshit, which never seems to include fines and jail time for the people hiring them. That's weird. That seems odd to me. That seems like something that would stand out as hypocritical or lacking in actual action. But he's been doing that shit forever. You could argue that he's been in politics as long as he was trying to say that Obama wasn't born here. So fuck him.
But today, Kamala is here in Texas to rub shoulders with woke celebrities. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, boo Beyonce and Willie Nelson. Sure.
But she's not going to meet with any of the victims of migrant crime while she's here. We have many of them right here, the families. We have many of them. And they're incredible people, what they've gone through, the hell that they've gone through, and will continue to go through, unfortunately.
That's the spirit.
She'll not speak to the grieving mothers from whom she has stolen the brightest light in their life. She was in charge of this border, and she doesn't.
Hold on, asshole. Literally, this poor woman right here, like lost her daughter to a Venezuelan gang member whose deportation was delayed without any kind of vetting by this motherfucker. The TPS, temporary protected status, means they do the work to look into your background and that kind of stuff. You could be denied TPS. DED just means we don't even look for a certain amount of time because your country is so fucked up that we're not sending anybody back there. We're just going to assume no matter what that that you'll meet your end. You'll be killed. And Haitians, that's why there's a bunch of Haitians in Springfield and in other places. And the same thing was true of Venezuelans in theory under this guy. But he just put a fucking pause on it for a year and a half. They don't even have to, under DED, they don't even look. Under temporary protected status, they do. And so later that year, the Biden administration started going through these groups, mixing them in and converting their DED status to TPS status as they started vetting them, as the time ran out. So as soon as the year and a half ran out, or the period of a year and a half from when they might have entered the country, many of which entered under Trump, which might be as early as like 6 months, they were able to start looking at some of these people who'd been there a year and a half. They were taking it quite literally so they could look at them sooner. Some of them got TPS, a lot of them got kicked out. Some of them had come in right as he was there, right in January, and stayed through because you couldn't even look at him for a year and a half.
Doesn't like being called border czar anymore. She didn't mind it almost 4 years ago, but now.
Also, almost 4 years ago, what are you talking about? When the news called her that? Nobody called her that in the administration. We don't have a border czar.
Now she doesn't like it, but you don't need that term. She was in charge of the border. She never came here. And
also, she was not in charge of the border. Her job specifically was to stem the tide of illegal migrants coming from South America by working with the governments down there and seeing how they could do it, which worked. That's one of the reasons why the volume of people went down.
She never made one call to these people behind me or anybody in the group. Not one call. She's in charge. She deals with Border Patrol. She hasn't made, Paul, not even.
She's not in charge. She doesn't deal with Border Patrol. That's Mayorkas.
Not one call in 4 years. So we're joined today by Texas.
Also, she's the vice president. The president does that and did.
Mom, Alexis Nungary from Houston, a great woman. This past June, thank you. Great one. Where is Alexis? Where is she?
Yeah. She's right there. She's been standing there the whole time. She's the person you're going to talk to. You shook her hand as soon as you walked on stage. She is the only young woman with tattoos all the way up to her knuckles on the stage. She is actually in the exact same position as the head of Doral, the mayor of Doral was when you couldn't find her yesterday.
Come up here, Alexis. Come up here. So this past June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious angel, as you say, Jocelyn, we all called her that. We feel we know Jocelyn, and she's
Oh, do we?
had a big impact, Alexis. You know that, right? She's had a big impact. Walked to a nearby convenience store. Jocelyn was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted, and I'm not going any further than that. I'm standing with the mother, and horrible things happened to her, to that young,
Jesus. Then shut up.
beautiful.
You can just say they lost her. She'll say what she wants to say. You fucking cretin.
That young, beautiful girl. And the animals arrested for Jocelyn's barbaric murder are two illegal aliens believed to be members of the savage Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua.
By the way, there's a couple of things. One is, of course, that he paused the deportation of Venezuelans as his final act as president for a year and a half. And everybody who was in that group, they went to the back of the line. again. So a lot of them were still being processed behind everybody else. So while they're processing Guatemalans and Mexicans and other people that have come into the country illegally, the Venezuelans were put at the back of the group. And that's why we need more judges to adjudicate these cases, see if anybody's got a genuine asylum claim, that kind of stuff, especially in countries like Haiti and Venezuela, where there's unrest and there's a reason why legally people don't get sent back. Okay, so never mind that, like, it's just fucking gross. The other upside is that MS-13 is very easy for Trump to say. So that's one of the reasons why he kept saying it. But now it's Tren de Aragua. And watching him try to barf that out is fairly hilarious most of the time.
Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua. And they're all over the place now. They're all over our country. They were in Aurora, but Aurora's now the least of it. They've taken over buildings.
I love that. By the way, Aurora's now the least of it because they couldn't find anybody because it turned out to be bullshit. Yeah, it's so much the least of it. It's not it at all. Hold on, by the way. It's also Tren de Aragua. So this is the, where are we? Here we go. This is what they're talking about in this. What is Tren de Aragua? The Venezuelan gang may be linked to an execution-style killing in Connecticut. This is recent. This is 2024, where they're talking about this. These two, he's 22, he's 24. They've been charged in connection with a homicide in Stamford and may have ties to the Venezuelan gang. Again, may have. We don't know. Angel Samaniego, a 59-year-old Stamford resident who was found sitting in a chair, his arms crossed, legs duct taped, had been beaten, suffering blunt force trauma to the head, medical examiner ruled, and had been fatally shot in the chest, according to warrants for the two people arrested in connection with the homicide. A housekeeper at the hotel, Super 8, on the city's west side, found him 12 hours after two people were seen leaving the hotel with two children in tow. The pair, Moises Alejandro Candoyo Orenea, and he's 22, and Gregory Marlon Galindez Trias, 24, were arrested a few days later at a city outside of Albany, New York. According to the arrest affidavit, the couple were in possession of a bloodstained note with Samaniego's credit card information. Police allege the pair also made off with his car, which investigators said ended up in Detroit, Michigan. There is certainly at this point a strong suspicion the defendant participated in what this court would describe as an execution. These guys are not facing homicide-related charges, and police have not said if they are involved in the man's death or how they knew him. Before they were extradited to Connecticut, the couple were arraigned in upstate, let's see, expressed concern about the Venezuelan gang during her hearing. The arrest, speaking through a Spanish court translator, Galinde Trias said she was afraid of what the gang might do because she was arrested. That's why they think they were, maybe forced to kill the guy or something like that on behalf of this. Over the past 6 years, Tren de Aragua leader Nino Guerrero has expanded the group's criminal network throughout South America and recently extended north into Central America and the United States. The State Department said taking over territory from other folks or whatever, but they've been moving up through Central America, and now it has come to the United States, said Ken Gray, a retired FBI agent, distinguished lecturer in the Department of Criminal Justice at the University of New Haven. The group was founded in 2009, he said, but only became a problem in the U.S. in the last 2 years. The group drew national attention earlier this year when a video of armed men in an apartment in Aurora, Colorado, led to claims that Tren de Aragua had taken over the complex. The claim was picked up by Trump, who said it was taking over the whole town. It turned out not to be true, whatever. In August 20th statement, Aurora police said they were aware of complaints of TDA are operating in Aurora, but that based on their investigation, they believe reports the group's influence were isolated. They have been moving with migrants as they move up through Central America. Wherever they come into, they establish their dominance as a gang. The group is involved in everything from sex and human trafficking to smuggling, extortion, and running drugs. They're all in resources. And they're basically fighting with another cartel and taking over, part of it. So as Mexico gentrifies Central America, is increasingly, are increasing the. Are increasingly taking over. Central American gangs are pushing through that as Mexico gentrifies and gets more, kind of standardized jobs. So, think here. That's why he's talking about Tren de Aragua.
things in Aurora. The government, a radical left Democrat, weak person, doesn't know quite what to do. He's always got a big mouth when he talks about other things, but he has no idea what to do.
Yeah, well, apparently he'd be punching ghosts.
And they have weapons of military grade. You say, how did they get those weapons? These monsters were in Border Patrol custody, but under a program Kamala Harris created to abolish detention for fighting-aged men, whatever that means.
It's the same as roofing-aged men and plumbing-aged men and construction worker-aged men. Also, the reason, what do you mean, whatever that means? Fighting-aged men is what your side calls any adult male who's under the age of 60 and over the age of 9 who enters the country and happens to be browner than beige.
And give them free and automatic entry into the United States. The killers were released.
No, they don't.
Into our country. And Alexis, we cannot begin to imagine your pain. And if you'd like to say a few words, would you like to? Would you? Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Hold on. Wait. Did he fucking... Wait a minute. Did he fucking point the mic down as she was... So he's got the mic. He literally, like, points it at his dick when she walks up there?
Would you? Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
What part of the mic do you talk into, you fucking tool? What the hell? Well, let's watch that again. Jesus Christ. This woman lost her daughter.
Say a few words. Would you like to?
Watch this.
Would you? Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
He doesn't even point it up at her. Point it towards her fucking mouth. What the hell? What part of a mic does he think you speak into? Is it just the whole fuzzy black part of it? It doesn't matter what direction? Does he have no fucking idea?
I want to thank everybody for...
Jesus Christ. And now her voice is so quiet. You know, it's like we can hear it to some degree, but like at that event, it's going to be even quieter.
Donald Trump really for the opportunity to
hear them turning it up. Jesus.
Be able to say my daughter's story. I know everybody knows somebody that was like her. She was 12. She was going to be a 7th grader. Preteens, they think they're invincible. And she was just being a child. And due to the Biden-Harris policies we have here, are why she's not here anymore. She was taken from her vulnerability, and
all right, I gotta say, this woman's been through something horrible. So even though I totally disagree with her take on it, and I could probably pick apart her argument, I'm not going there. This is the weird part to me.
So I want to thank you, Alexis, and we will never forget Jocelyn. We're not going to. We've all seen her pictures.
He won't know her name in a week.
It's blazed into our minds, and the violence and viciousness, and nobody calls, nobody talks. And we have many others like that.
Nobody calls, nobody talks.
13 soldiers that were killed so horribly.
Oh, you're going to Afghanistan?
In Afghanistan, nobody called them. No,
yes, they did.
Nobody calls them.
Yes, they do.
But certain people they call, but they don't call them.
Oh, yeah? What certain people do they call? What do you, people who are in jail for shoplifting? Do they get a booster call from the administration? Is that what you think? In San Francisco? Is that where we're going with this horse shit?
They weren't called. They weren't treated properly. They were treated very badly, actually. And many others, including some of the people in this room, nobody calls. I don't know. Just from a human standpoint, I call. It's like you can't do much because it's done. We could have done much if we were running things, Ted. We would have had.
You did do something. You did. Don't sell yourself short. You did do something. You put a moratorium on deportations of Venezuelans your last day in office for at least a year and a half. At which time they went to the back of the line of the backed up people that were going through the process that we don't have enough judges and officers and lawyers for to start with. So you added, you gave, what you did was you allowed those people to stay in the country unlawfully for 4 years minimum. It's almost as if you knew that some of them would cause some damage and you could run on it later.
With strong borders, we would have had all the things, at least they would have had a real good chance of not having been caught up in this crime wave that's happening.
Does anybody bring up to him the moratorium he put on Venezuelan deportations in the press? Has anybody asked him about this? And again, I don't think, hold on. Trump, last day in office, Venezuelans. Just in case anybody's, let's see. There you go. There you go. Trump grants Venezuelans temporary legal status on his way out. The U.S. will defer for 18 months the removal of certain Venezuelan nationals. And that is anybody who's in the country as of the day he leaves. That's the certain. All you got to do is already be here. Yeah. Also, how do you prove? How do you prove if they're not in legally and you haven't processed them, they came across the border, they can go, hey, I've been in here since December. And then they get to stay. They get put on, and I'm from Venezuela. That's the thing. And he's using the Deferred Enforcement Departure Program, which is lovely, DED, as opposed to the TPS. Because, and by the way, because Maduro is a prick, right? Because he did it because Maduro is dangerous and terrible and, What are the odds? What are the odds? Okay. Again, does any maggots, are there any maggots in here that don't know this? Do you? Republicans of any sort, of any ilk, are you not aware that this was the last thing he did? This is his last official act as president. He literally saved it to the last. You know why? Because that's when the clock starts. He gave him the longest stretch he could possibly. If he'd have done it in November, it would have shaved off a couple of months, right? Or he could have done it. He could have done it in the middle of COVID if he wanted to. But he waited until his last day in office to make it the longest stretch he could possibly give it, so that it was at least 2022, middle of 2022, late 2022, around August, that they could even start, adding people to the rolls to be processed. And maybe this is it. Maggots, do you just not know this? Is this just one of those details that just slipped by? I mean, you love the dude. You ought to know his record. You know what I mean? You celebrate him. You think the sun shines out of his ass. It's how you get an orange tan. So shouldn't you know that?
It's a crime wave. The number of people coming in, we have no idea what the number is. I say 21 million. A lot of people think it's more than that.
Nobody thinks it's more than that. It's half that. It's not even half that. There's half of that in the country, period. 20 million people did not cross the fucking border in the last 3 years. Didn't happen. The same 3 million people came over a bunch of times.
And then you start talking about the gotaways. I think the gotaways could be, Dan, double that. Who knows what it is?
Yeah, yes, that's right. There's 80 million new people in here, and nobody can fucking find them. There's 80 million new people here, and what does that work out to? 30,000 in Springfield, Ohio, and 100,000 in New York City? And the rest of them are what, just peppered evenly?
Running into the country. We have no idea that we call them from parts. I call them from parts unknown.
Why? Well, then stop saying you know. You can't say parts unknown and Congo and prisons and jails, and we know they're dumping them, and Venezuela and Guatemala. If they're parts unknown, you have no fucking idea.
as of 2 weeks ago, Tom Homan told me it was 181 countries were represented.
We finally got one more country. It's been 180 for as long as since he learned there's 180 questions. Now there's 181. What was the one? What do you think? Did they swim here from the Philippines?
And people pouring in, so it's no longer just a.
Doug, it's your fault, isn't it, Doug? On Facebook, you got 20,000 in your garage. You can't do that. I mean, they're all on welfare. They're destroying Social Security by paying into it and never getting a check.
A small group of people from the 3 or 4 countries that we're accustomed to talking about in an interview.
Right, because it's boring now. You can't just say Guatemala and whatever, Honduras and Venezuela and Mexico. We've heard it. It just, it's like it's. Can't even get a half chub when you talk about that, a racism chub.
Last week, Kamala Harris was asked directly if she would apologize to Alexis for letting in the savage killer that took
Yeah, but she can't apologize on your behalf.
Jocelyn's life, and Kamala Harris refused to take any responsibility whatsoever. She refused to own up to the fact that open borders, and totally unchecked. It's not even open borders. Open borders are horrible. And how stupid are they? How stupid. We're the only country in the world that has this.
We don't have this. We don't have this. Just for the record, like, we don't have this. We don't have an open border. We don't.
They don't even check them. They don't vet them. They don't know who they are.
Yeah, okay. They don't check some Venezuelans because you gave them special protection. They check everybody else out. Otherwise, how the fuck do you know? How would you know they're coming from mental institutions? Where are you getting information, and why aren't you sharing it with the Department of Homeland Security? You seem to know what mental institutions and what countries they're coming from, and then you say we don't know. Why don't we know? Just fucking stupid.
They don't know where they're going. They just come in, and then they fly them over, when the border got a little bit tougher because people were getting angry and we had citizens standing at the border.
That's the other thing, too, is that the numbers have dropped. So now they have this fantastical story that they're telling that Harris and Biden are flying migrants in because the numbers of people at the border has dropped because of the work she did dealing with those countries and the shift away from Title 42, which fucked up the whole thing. Title 42 is to blame for all the recidivism and the volume of people crossing the border, because you could kick people out and they could come back across and there was no mark on their record because they were never processed. They never had due process, so they can say, I was never adjudicated. I have a legit asylum claim and I should be allowed in if they're ever, if they're finally put through the system. You keep just kicking them out without doing that. You can't legally say they don't have a right to be here until you adjudicate the claim. So every time you kick them out, they come back through, and then you kick them out, they come back through, and they kick them out, and they come back through, and then you finally have to adjudicate their claim. It turns out that they were an asylum seeker and they actually have a legit asylum claim. They end up staying, but they've crossed into the country 5 or 6 times. How can Gen X like a mofo? You have no idea. Yeah. Also, let's see. Yeah, there we go.
Wanting to do, and then they get in trouble because they want to do the job the federal government's supposed to be doing. But she refused to own up to it. And last night she said she wants to make strong borders. I mean, what she did last night and the night before, the town hall with.
Also, again, what they're calling him on is the border bill. He killed the border bill. I think even in, at one point I may have seen it, I don't know if it was this event. It was another one where there was a clip online of him basically saying that he, I don't know, that if you could do anything, you should do it because it's an emergency. I'm like, well, then let the border bill fucking pass.
Cooper was just unbelievable. Allison Cooper got so angry.
Yeah, there it is. So that's the Allison Cooper part. That's where, when in doubt, when you're boring your crowd, make an anti-gay joke. And look at her smirking at the Allison thing. Look at this dude.
But think of it.
They like he's wanting to laugh, but is uncomfortable about it. You can see him kind of doing this or whatever. And she smirks at the Allison Cooper thing. Seriously. Seriously? Allison Cooper.
Think of it, never an apology, never a phone call to anybody. To anybody. So thank you very much, Alexis. We're going to get this thing straightened out. We're going to get it straightened out. We got to get it straightened out. Just from the standpoint of our heart. No calls, none, nothing. Worst of all, Kamala.
No calls, none, nothing. It's just gibberish, whatever. It's so stupid.
Refuses to stop importing these killers into our country every day.
Also, importing these killers like it's an active measure. Like this is the great replacement theory horseshit.
She brings in more. She's got no remorse at all for the innocent blood that's on her hands, and the blood is on her hands, and Biden too, but Biden doesn't know where the hell he is, so what difference? I just saw him. He's making a speech somewhere.
Oh, by the way, yeah, he does. He's apologizing to the native nations for the atrocities against the children that were on the northern states like Wyoming and North Dakota and places like that that are similar to what was happening in Canada. He's making he was actively making a presidential apology, getting that on the record today.
And he screwed it up pretty badly. But he's got his glasses, the whole deal, you know, standing outside, wind blowing. He doesn't look great for us. He doesn't look, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. President.
Jesus Christ. Dude, if you're going to criticize someone being old or lethargic or not looking great or whatever, I got to say, you got to bring at least your, I don't know, D+ game? What the fuck? It doesn't look, he barely says a thing and about the thing, and he's not really doing it. It's not good. It never is. And he doesn't look handsome. Hair looks stupid. It's a thing. Yeah.
And she used to look at him and still does, I guess, right? But he used to just, he just said, this makes me so happy, he says.
This makes me so happy, he says, Xi Jinping. This is his Cro-Magnon voice that he does for foreigners all the time. No. Xi Jinping is shitting his pants right now. His economy is collapsing. That's why he and they're throwing this like big BRICS party for themselves, trying to sucker people into this horseshit.
And Putin and the whole group, Kim Jong.
The whole group.
Un. They're tough guys out there. They're tough and they're smart and they're streetwise and
they're idiots. They're sycophants. They're psychopaths. They brutalize people around them. They kill their own. They're, by and large, sexual sadists. Fuck them.
They're at the top of their game, and we don't.
No, they're not. And by the way, if you think this is the top of their game, I think they would be mad at you.
Don't have that. That's very nice. Thank you. What a good line that is. That she said, that's why we have you. Thank you very much. Wow.
What? That's why we have you, because they're at the top of their game, and that's why we have you. Because, I'm sorry, he's at the top of his game? No. Also, he's not president. Can't actually do anything, I think, except violate the Logan Act, it seems.
You know that woman? You know that woman? That's very good. Thank you. It's very nice. Thank you very much.
It's very nice. It's good. Thank you. She thinks I'm great. Anyways, you know her? It's good. Okay. Whew.